pressing on, it's not over. Now it depends on you. Every day and every night, should you go or should you fight? It's okay, just take my hand through it all. You will stay.
Welcome, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that I decided to put part 2 up right after part 1 and for your enjoyment. And I didn't want to leave you hanging because the rest of the show is rather compelling as well. So let me bring that to you right now. Thank you so much for listening. On what they would do before they came to this planet.
Absolutely, 100% for sure.
I agree, and it's just proving what a divine plan is really going on here.
That's when you interject time. You know what's coming down the road, and you can plan for it. If you know it's going to rain, you bring the umbrella. Be 2 feet of snow, you're going to put on a heavy coat and some boots. It's kind of like time. They know what's coming down, and they prepared for it. And whatever's necessary, they'll provide for it.
And talk about Mr. T. He sure the heck had to put on his armor of God before it came down, or armor of Creator, because boy, talking about getting slings and arrows cast at him, he sure did, and he still does.
Slings and arrows. All right, I got a joke.
Okay.
It's relative to what you just said.
Okay.
Did you see the little news piece? And it's actually back from January 6th, where they're trying to distract everybody going back to January 6th. They know they're totally dirty on January. Had nothing to do with the good guys, but they're still trying to do. Nancy Pelosi came out. How did he get on the grounds? I'll punch him in the nose. I will in jail and it'll be okay. And I thought to myself, you ever punch Trump? He'd hit you once, you'd wake up in your next lifetime. Here's this little scrawny worm over here. Punch him right in the nose, and I'm just laughing here. Do you ever see the size of Trump? He's like 6'4", probably 50. He crushed you. I'm crushing you. I'm crushing your head. That's an old Saturday Night Live bit, but
yeah. That's funny.
Oh, I just thought that was so funny.
Anyway, I just think that's such an interesting piece of the puzzle. So it's not only Trump, it's not only Melania, it's also Barron coming to help get Earth to where we want it to be. And of course, they would meet with all kinds of adversarial enemies, you might say, that don't want anything to happen that they want to happen, because they profit from the war. They profit from corruption, and they profit from stealing from the people.
And that's their motivation too. That's why they're trying to promote World War III. 100% be no nuclear wars on this planet. I know there's some countries that are saying, we've got all these nuclear warheads. None of them work. They got shut down by our friends from other places. There were 22 silos, all nuclear missiles in it. The joke was, I understand, one of the missiles, they just wanted to do a funny ha-ha. They opened it up. There was no missile corn. Now, that's a lot of popcorn. And I wouldn't want to be the clean that sucker up. But I thought that was pretty funny. But I want to go back to the beginning of the statement that you made, because
which statement?
Come on.
Your dog must be seeing somebody or wanting to alert you to something.
Thank you very much. That was just my anyway. Something you said in the beginning about not only going to the high levels.
Oh, there you go. You better come back in. Well, we're going to have to give Dean a minute or two. He's going to have to come back in because we lost him. So we may be forced to edit this pre-record for little instances of this nature. So here we are. Welcome back. We had a brief moment there, whether you hear it or not. But anyway, Dean, what were you saying? Do you recall?
I do. In the beginning of the statement that you read, they talked about how the souls had to go an evolutionary process before reaching ascended master level.
Yes.
And one of the things that they said, which I found very interesting, that I know I experienced myself, is that you have to dive into the depths of despair and all the dark stuff so that when you crack up on top, you could speak with authority. You could say, I've been there, I've done that, rather than I'm an ascended master, Shang. No, I lived in an alley. I had to do this, I had to do that, and I rose above it, and here I am. That makes for a very total, complete person.
There you go.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Sometimes we learn the most from our most difficult experiences. And one of the biggest lessons that we learn from that, I think, is that we're a lot stronger than we ever give ourselves credit for.
That's very true.
And having that kind of confidence and knowing that you're infinite awareness and infinite consciousness and anything, infinite possibilities. We have been so programmed to think of ourselves as being small.
And live in fear.
And live in fear. And all very low vibrational states, which they feed off of us from. But all that is changing.
Which they call loosh.
Loosh. Yeah, people don't understand that exactly, because I've had people, well, what do you mean? How are they using your energy? How do they utilize that loosh? How would you explain that to someone?
Interesting question.
I mean, yeah, that's a tough question, really. It is. I've been asked that. Well, how does that work? And I said, well, the Matrix gives a really good example. I mean, we have our bodies electromagnetic charge apparently is quite substantial from each and every one of our trillions of cells. So apparently there are beings out there who know how to harvest that from us.
I think that's a good opening for me. That's exactly correct. So if you're putting off energy that higher energy is going to be drawn to, they will. If you're putting out energy of fear and being controlled and being a slave, well, Lucifer and his minions are going to come by and start sucking that energy out of you. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel anxious, irritable, angry, foggy in your brain. You won't be able to think clearly. These are all examples of lower energies drawing loose off of you. You're like a battery, and they draw that energy off of you till you're almost dead. And some people just do die. However, the message that you read, Gail, also said that, be fearless. Even in the face of, you probably won't die by being fierce. It's like a magical shield. What did Trump do all the time? Put on the armor of God. Put on, even in the face of fear and whatever, because that's their greatest weapon, is to make you think you're going to die. And when you go, I don't care. I'm not going to give you.
Why people need not to care, even though they leave people behind. I think that's probably the most difficult aspect, who grieve as a result of it. But the fact is, there is no death. There never has been any death. And
That's
that was
correct.
one of the greatest fears that they put on us all, because we can come right back. I mean, our spirit doesn't die. It's just this avatar body, and we can manifest another one on the other side, and decide how we're going to come back in, if that's what we choose to do. And that reincarnation, thank Creator for that, and whoever helped, is no longer in operation, where we had and were forced to come back to this particular planet.
Yes, it was called the soul trap.
Yeah.
Basically, there was a web, like a spider's web. Some call it the matrix. Either way, it was a containment field around the planet, and we would get a mind wipe of our past life or lives. We come back as a baby, not knowing anything, and we would die at a younger age rather than 1,200 years. We die at 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever. And as soon as we decarnate and we hit that spider's web frequency around the planet, we would get a mind wipe, turn right back around, and reincarnate into the planet's population as a new, with a new vehicle, a new physical vehicle. Well, we took that down. Silver Legion, some other groups. This was a forward operation. We went and took that whole thing down where it can't capture anything. So as we were observing, is that those that were dead, they weren't dead. They just left their physical body here. Some of them wanted to go back home. Some of them wanted to go back to the Pleiades. Some of them wanted to go to this place or that place. They could just leave freely and go and do what they want. They could come back to Earth if they want. It's about free will. You get to do what you want to do. So that was very, very important.
That's something that has been, they try to say people have total free will and so on, but until these different restraints are, like that one, are taken down or removed, that have been placed as control measures on this planet all over, from things where they have blocked energy from the ley lines, to mind control programming and high-tech patents with the mass media. All of these things need to be removed. Humanity hasn't had a chance to be itself for eons.
The upside is where we talk about putting out loosh because of negative energy, works both ways. These negative people, the Luciferian, the Satanist, when they are doing their dirty deeds, they're putting out energy too. So they have seriously depleted themselves. And we've had lots of backup come in to replenish our sources, our armies that are fighting them. We've had plenty of replacements come in, so they're operating on a deficit. Now, there was something else I wanted to add to this. Oh yes, there was. If you guys research this, you'll find it. KGB alien interview. There's one that's 15 minutes long. If you could find that, that's the really good one. You've got these little grays walking around, and they've got this one gray sitting there, and this is the real deal. I've seen this years ago. I only could get 4 minutes of it, but recently they released the whole thing, 15 minutes. And the guy was interviewing, and we're talking about death, which was the topic you just brought up about not dying. And the little gray, and it was a little bigger than a little gray. This was somebody in middle management, we'll call it, said there is no death. That's unstruct. That was something that you guys made up so that you could control your population, basically. There is no death. So what you were saying was substantiated by an extraterrestrial in an interview through the KGB, was all in English too.
I'm going to have to see if I can put that in the description of this video when we have it done, because after you said that, I remembered that too. And that was a very fascinating interview.
Oh, it sure was. The long one is the one that's really good. They have a 4-minute one where they show the military, and you've got the regular grays about 3 feet tall walking around. I think there were 4 or 5 of them. They're actually holding hands with the military. And then all of a sudden they show this gray standing there next to a wall with his little uniform on, and they show his long fingers and, his wraparound. That's not who was interviewed, though. It was somebody that's above these guys. Still a gray, but...
Aren't there tall grays and short grays, and the short grays are more worker bees than the tall grays? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that is correct. This one had a lot more information on what was going on.
Yeah.
And I guess they had drugged him, and they had tortured him. Scopolamine. They had injected, and I know that's used for like motion sickness and stuff like that. Well, one thing we know about grays, these ETs, is that they excrete through their pores. So they don't have like a urinary where they can excrete urine from their body through a methodology or something that they can remove solid waste. Boy, I said that so discreetly too. And that's why people would say when you come by one, they smell. That's the reason why.
Wow. What a way to live. I mean, so whenever you're excreting, you are really a stinky person. A stinky being.
I was going to, honey, it's not date night tonight, But
really?
To them, that's normal because that's just part of their life. That's just part of their life.
I'd like to share something with you that I read recently, and I just like to discuss it and see what you think about it. It's kind of fascinating. It talks about a time in the distant past where Earth's inhabitants had full use of their mental capacities. They tell us we only use like 6% of our brain, or
correct,
that aspect, and so on. And so anyway, this hypothesis, so to speak, is that the beginning of the frequency barrier occurred at the time of the Great Flood, and in this aspect of it was really interesting too. They said that 40 days of the Great Flood have been associated with the tipping of the planet Maldek and the overflow of its oceans upon the earth at the time of the destruction, which had in its it somehow shifted the electromagnetic field of the planet in such a way that it affected it to a greater degree than expected. And some of the
I'm
things
aware of that. I'm aware of this. I'm aware
Okay.
of what you're talking about. That their oceans were actually captured in our atmosphere, way high up, and they came crashing down. There was your flood.
Yeah, isn't that
Oddly,
amazing? I mean, I've heard it.
oddly enough, what have we had with the first of all, these hurricanes that show up, Ian or whatever, all orchestrated, all orchestrated DEWS weapons, directed energy weapons, HARP, the active auroral research program, all these different programs, and numerous other programs that we're not even talking about, created weather. One of the side notes that came out in certain places that lakes and river streams and right off the shore, all the water disappeared, didn't come back. They went, what the hell happened to the water? It's all gone. Guess what, folks? It's coming back. What do we hear? The Great Flood. Watch the water. Watch this. You're going to be seeing it. What do we see? We see monumental floods in these different towns in a variety of countries. It's all, and they're getting rid of all the underground bunkers because that's worldwide. And those that don't know, they call them DUMBs, deep underground military bases, where they have been hybridizing, where they're growing humans for their organs, for sex, for everything you can imagine. Mutilating them. Some children have never seen the light of the surface ever, generations. So what's happening? Yeah, what's happening now is these, and they're down deep. They're down 3, 5, 7 miles, and they're not all on one layer. Some of them are multi-layers. We're wiping them out. We're flooding them. Some of the explosions that we've been hearing. Well, one was in Washington. We heard this on the top of the FBI building. We heard all these. It was a report. To me, that was a sniper rifle going off, but they said no. They were presenting a different story. They said there was an elevator shaft that went way down deep underground, and you were getting the implosions, is the way they described it, of what was happening underground. I'm just reporting what they said. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. And I'll tell you, getting back to the FBI building, we remember when this first started, what was the first floor that got wiped in the FBI building? Do you remember? You'll know immediately when I tell you.
Go ahead.
The 7th floor.
Ah, okay.
They went up to the 7th floor and they just took out the whole floor. There was a lot of really bad stuff on there. So my understanding is the good guys, they have total latitude to get rid of bad guys, sterilizing, eliminating them. And what you're seeing is hunter killers out there, groups that are doing exactly that. They're physically going after, just like if you were in a foreign country and you're fighting the bad guys, and there's the enemy, except the enemy happens to be, in a suit and tie, running a bank, screwing everybody, and as a pedophile, well, they're taking those people out.
And if they run, it's shoot to kill.
Well, sterilizing means pretty much that. You just scrub the whole place down. Yeah.
I'm not actually in that field in order to know all that terminology.
I'm just trying to be kind because, we didn't want any bumps on the tape there with a logarithms. Hello, it's a log. And that'd be a good name for a group. Log and the Rhythms, huh?
That's funny.
I don't know if I got to slide that one through. I was trying to cover up my error. But we see it all over the world. It's not an isolated thing happening just in America. Yeah, go ahead.
And this is more on this frequency barrier thing because I found it fascinating, and I think people might as well. because it's a thing. Oh my goodness, it affects the thinking process of humanity, and it's been doing so for thousands of years. If we had not lived within the frequency barrier, they're saying then, because it denies the use of many brain circuits, then we would have 100% the same mental capacities of a lot of the either our ancestral relatives or other extraterrestrials that we think are superior to us. But it's this barrier that I think may have been created as a result of what we spoke of earlier with the from the planet Meldick and the deluge and all that. So was that actually created by Enlil, or was that just something that, you know, happened as a result of what was going on with the galactic wars? But then the other thing of it is that they're saying that the planet's electromagnetic vibration, you can compare it to a radio communication jamming apparatus, which can prevent reception and transmission of intelligible signals during wartime.
I think that's a good analogy too.
And that's what we've been under. And that's why people haven't been able to connect themselves. And that's why they've always directed us outside of ourselves. And for the first time ever, I want people to know they have the ability to connect direct. They don't need anyone else. They can go straight to source. And that's what I would encourage everyone to do.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. How are we on time, first of all?
Well, I have us at 20 minutes at this time. It won't matter because we're going to have to piece this particular one.
Yeah, but is that going to cost you an arm and a leg to do that?
Well, Lainey usually does it, volunteers to do it freely. I don't have money to pay people.
Yeah. Who does? No, I'm talking about you got to keep it around an hour, right? But that doesn't make any difference.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I said.
I mean, if we pieced together all the pieces, it would still have to be around 50 or 55 minutes.
That's where I was.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on, this goes along with what was being said. This is not the first time we've done this. This is not the first time we've done this dance on Earth. We've done it countless number of times. If we go back and we look what's really carved in stone with the ancient Egyptians, who were an alien race that came down here and pretty much ruled the humans. We have the Mayans, we have the Incas, we have the Aztec, we have the where I was, ancient era, we had the Anasazi Indians. We had all these people that communicated with our star family. But we had civilizations that are carved into walls that showed that we were using free energy thousands and thousands of years ago. You know, that whole Tatarian empire.
Yes.
And for some reason, they took everything and they like a blackboard, they just
wiped them off.
Wiped everything off so there'd be no, and it's coming back and we're finding the information again and going, what the heck is going on? How come you're not telling me? It's because they're in so control of everything. They controlled our history as well. And our history has been a lie.
One great big multitude of lies. In every area. What haven't we been lied to about would be easier to count on one hand than even beginning to try to figure out all the different lies that we've truly been lied to about.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, you know, back to this frequency barrier, and I had to keep going back to that, but it just absolutely amazes me, because what if that is what's keeping us in this three-dimensional capacity, when in the past, if we could have broke beyond this barrier, we would already be in the fourth or fifth dimension.
Well, we're already in the fourth dimension, because that's time, and we've been moving through that, and a lot of us have glimpsed 5D. And first of all, we signed up, however it's unfolding, we signed up to do it exactly this way. We knew what was going to happen. We knew who the heroes of our planet were going to be. We already discussed those. And we knew it. So it's not like a big surprise. We came down here and, oh, we're getting put upon. No, we know in totality exactly where, who, what, where, when, how, and why. Know it. So
we know it, and
we were responsible.
We were specifically selected because of our
we selected ourselves
to come down here to help.
Yeah, you know.
Or you don't buy that?
Well, no. I don't say that I don't buy that. I would just describe it a little. You know, if you feel a certain vibe from somebody and it's good, well, you're drawn to that person. And I think that kind of just what you're saying. We felt a lot of really good vibes, and we went in that direction. And they were our families. And here we are collectively doing the deal.
Yep.
So no, I think you were spot on. It's not like it's going to start. It started a while ago.
Yes, it's just been a slow rollout that hasn't really been noticed by everyone. It's noticed by the people that are pretty much awake and aware already because they've been following it, researching and looking into it. But it's starting to filter into the general public.
I agree with you. And I think that even without doing research, you would come to know things.
Yes.
You would just, you'd get that little sparkle in your brain and you'd go, wow.
Or you get that, this doesn't just make any sense. I just,
Yeah, you don't buy into it. That's exactly right.
And then you talk about it with somebody and then you formulate your opinion that may not be in conjunction with the official narrative.
I'm seeing a lot more connection with all sentient beings on the planet here. We are communicating more and more and more. And I'll give you an example. Animals, my dogs, my two puppies, they communicate all the time. They want to communicate. They don't know how because we have a different way of doing it. We've been together so long, we communicate every day. And they do it telepathically. They do it with vocalizations. They do it with, what do they call it? Kinetics, the body language.
Oh, yeah.
They'll put their ears up. They'll put their roll their tail up. Their eyes will get all big and round. And they're talking to you. All you have to do is look and listen.
Yeah, that's really true because somebody you can tell when they want water or they want food or they want,
they lick
your attention. There's a number of different ways that they do have of telling you those things.
My Padawan, when she wants dinner, she goes over and writes it off. I want a little roast beef and I want a little this. And she hands it to me and said, and by the way, Dad, the last time the meat was a little medium. I like a little more medium rare, please.
Wow. Well, I think our ability to have telepathic communication interspecies, I don't know if I could say that, interspeciesly, or from human to human, which we actually naturally do and have as an ability, but we don't always recognize it.
We're doing it more and more. I was telling you about a dream that I had, and I was communicating with this extraterrestrial who's right over there talking to me, and I'm talking to him, except didn't have a mouth. And it was just like he was talking to me through his mouth, but I heard him plainly, and he heard me, and I wasn't using my mouth either. So I know that these skills aren't like new ones that we're going to have to learn to use. We already have. We have them. We'll use them. It'd be as normal breathing.
And it's a matter of, and I know with myself, and I consider myself the same as anybody else, that might be in the listening audience for that matter.
You're not the same. You're not the same as everybody else, Gail. Trust me.
No, I don't know about that. I just, that just threw me off completely there.
Oh, you said about your listening audience.
Yeah, that I just feel like I want to always be able to relate to them and give them the kind of information that I think would that's been helpful to me. I want to share it with them so that if it would help, they can use it. Now, everybody has different learning, listening, and skills and ways that work the best for them. And so hearing it from more than one person is never a bad thing. Hearing it from more than one source is always good, because it just helps to confirm and reaffirm what we said. Now, we don't have any extra confirmation on what we read at the beginning of this, do we? At this point,
There was some, and since I'm on this particular app right here, and my phone is hot too, by the way.
Oh,
but
up anytime.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I still have the green bars, and that's what I'm looking for. Some other information that was coming out. It wasn't as comprehensive as this. It came through the same source, but it wasn't written by the same person. And they're talking about med beds and that. Some information I got the other day is they've been making med beds 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years, and the military's been in charge of them. So when they say it's going to be free, they're basically going to be everywhere. That would seem to me that there's going to be a great healing of the planet very quickly.
Well, I had some people on my show that gave me the impression, and the audience the impression, that these med beds weren't going to be, and a lot of people object to that name with good reason, but they're not going to be rolled out for some time yet.
Yeah, there's a couple different stories that are being put out there. One, there's a company that you can buy them from. Then there's the same company you can lease space on it. I'm not going to get into this or anything like that. The med beds that I was familiar with and Trump was talking about with the military is the only way to go. The military has taken over old car factories and refitted them just to make med beds. I think the operative thing in a med bed is the crystals. And the crystals are being acted upon by, what do they call that?
Frequency?
Well, they are being acted upon by frequency, but you know that's sound, color, light, frequency.
Mm-hmm.
That's all correct, but it's back engineered from off the technology.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was going, but everything you said is correct. That's how they work.
Wow.
I really like the fact of when I heard that one lecture years ago from the 3-star general out of NSA. He says, everything you see in Star Trek, we can do. And they have their medical beds, and they have their transponders, and then they have their teleporters, and they have their free energy. They have plasma drives. They have phasers, weapons, replicators. We have it all. And the program was introduced. Roddenberry was a contactee, was introduced to a public to the idea that we had exchange with other races and civilizations, and they're very much like us. They've shared a lot of their technology lovingly with us. There's been a few bad ones that came in here, but they were easily found out. And here we are. So back to the med beds. The med beds and I showed you what I was talking about. You said you had seen that too. The med bed projection bed.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of mind blowing, isn't it? Really?
Yes, it is. It's
you think of,
well,
it makes sense though.
Yes, it does. The only thing I don't like is no one else is there unless you have someone in the room with you at the same time, and make sure everything is kosher, so to speak. I don't know.
Well, it means that something wouldn't happen to you while you were being treated. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
The program is, the AI in it is so smart and with so many safeguards on it, that probably couldn't happen.
Well, that's encouraging. That's encouraging. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we probably got our time limit in at this time for this particular show, but we can always keep going and bring more shows on.
Yes, Gail, whatever you want to do. I always have such a good time discussing because you step up to the plate with, you've done homework.
Well, thank you, Dean, and I know you have, because sometimes I rely on your homework in order to help when I get behind from putting up shows and so on. But anyway,
we do good.
So
we do good. Yeah, we do
the
good.
light workers need to stand on each other's shoulders, really, to bring forward all the information that needs to come forward. Somebody might be doing this in this area. Somebody might be doing. This is why I can't understand why I can't get more people that have some computer skills involved. They don't seem to like to volunteer their time any. But
well, I'll put a plug out there. Anybody listening to this show, listen, this is a great time. We're not looking for you to work like 7 days a week, 5 days a week. 1 or 2 days, you might be able to jump in and be a part of something that's really good. We work hard to put it together. You could be just a little part of it. That'd be pretty terrific. So if it's something that appeals to you, get a hold of Gail and say, yeah, listen, I got a computer. I could maybe do this or do that.
Yeah, sometimes it's a matter of uploading the show that to another platform, like up to BitChute or up to YouTube, or so that it goes out and more people see it. I mean, I try to put together shows that will really informative and helpful and can get people to start questioning things and themselves and going within, and all the things that we hear that we should be doing at this critical time in history. And so it would just be wonderful if we could get a little more help along the way, and you would feel good about it. I guarantee that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get it too.
I wish I had, I could, pay people, but I'm not in a situation where I can do that.
I'll put that plug out both for Gail and myself, but for Gail, she pays for everything out of her pocket. I don't know, folks, how she does it.
I don't either.
She lives on a shoestring. She lives on a shoestring, and she's always giving of her heart and her time. So, if you can carve out something to help her out a little bit, that'd be great.
Thank you, Dean. But the same holds true for you. You do a lot of research and put a lot of information out there, which I find very valuable. And they took you off of Facebook for that. So
Facebook, yeah, but Facebook did a really good job, because how many years was I on there? 13 years.
Thousands of followers too.
I had 37,647 followers when they bounced me. I had done 600 days in Facebook prison, almost 2 years in Facebook prison.
I had a year in Facebook jail myself. So I know, then I started being very careful about what I post, which I hate to do. We're not supposed to be censored. That's not the way we're supposed to live. We should be able to be free to say what we want. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe it, but I defend my right to say it just as much as I'll defend your right to say what you believe.
That's right. We should be able to talk we should be able to talk as human beings to one another, and not yell and scream at each other because somebody disagrees with you.
Exactly.
But those people have been programmed. They have been put upon. They're not happy inside, and they actually need to be healed. We have to look with compassion at these people that are acting like complete morons. That's not normal. We get back to the normal.
Well, what is normal, though? I mean, with
it's hard to
kind of
determine
normal
these days.
In a sick society isn't what we want to be either. But the true human spirit of empathy, compassion, and kindness and love would really be nice to see expressed again, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think who said what you just said.
Oh, really?
Somebody said that? Somebody said, to be normal in a truly sick society is really not.
Such a cool thing.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a cool thing, is what he said, and it was Yogananda was one of my favorite, and there was somebody else, another guy.
Sadhguru?
No, not him,
Not him.
not him.
Okay.
No, way before him. Actually, kind of before him. I know his name. I've read a lot of his books, and it's just escaping me. But he made that statement. I remember. To be normal in a sick society is really not normal.
No.
But we're talking about a normal. Kids went out and played and didn't have to worry about getting beat up and dry shootings. All these things have been injected into our society to make it the new norm. It's not normal, and we've got to kind of like scrub brushes out and get all the cleaning supplies out, and we've got to scrub that way.
It's kind of interesting because somebody portrayed something similar to what you did on your Skype page, and that was this man named Ralph Smart, who has he does shows all the time, and he actually puts out very good information. And one of the things he had on recently, he was showing an artist's work, and in this artist's work, it showed pictures of people, and everybody was looking down. I mean, he was making statements. Everybody was looking down at their phone. Okay, there's a whole bunch of people together. Then he had another picture where there was a couple in bed together, and they were both looking at their phones separately.
Right. I think I've seen who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that shows you the marriage of AI. We are married to AI, like it or not.
Yes, and then it showed children in the past where they were looking at each other, interacting with each other, maybe playing a guitar or drawing or something like that, and how much happier people were. And they were interacting. Even though you communicate on your phone, it's like I said, it's your cell in a prison is what it's become.
It is. And some information that came my way, I knew about it, but the way they put it out, I know about it a lot better. PlayStation, all these companies that have video games that people are just, they're addicted to, like heroin.
Yes.
Yes. And they play them 24/7.
Yes.
They are being programmed. These people are being programmed, not just for the content of the video game that they're drawn to, but through the subliminals in the game. Their mind is being shaped and molded so that it'll get triggered. Somebody says a word or says this or that, they will just go off. And we see that all the time.
Yes, we do.
And so the video games is the culprit.
They are, and they were even passing on information through video games, from what I understand. The cabal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. The subliminal messages in video games. And I mean, what do we walk around now? I mean, even my old iPhone, my 6S, is a supercomputer that I'm walking around with. It has more information than the Library of Alexandria, the Library of Congress. I can access anything in the world, little thing, and then put it back in my pocket. I can talk to anybody in the world. I can collectively put a conversation together of 3 or 4 people and talk around the world for free. I can play video games. I can send emails. I can do my banking. I can do everything on this little device that I hold in my hand, and I can just slide it in my pocket and be on my way.
Yes, it's amazing. And it has us so programmed, because when I remember when I was younger and I just started driving or whatever, we didn't have cell phones then. And now,
no, we did not.
When I get in the car, I mean, if you something happened to your car and you broke down, you would have to walk to somebody's place or borrow a phone from somebody or wave somebody down, where you would actually have to interact as people to people. Okay. Whereas now, whenever I get in the car, I think to myself, oh, well, I have to have my phone with me just in case something happens. And that something happens probably is very rare. I mean, in all
We're plugged
honesty.
into matrix. We're plugged into that AI matrix.
We sure are, and we don't even realize it. I mean, I realize it more than I want. It's like, how do you disconnect and stay disconnected and still survive? That's another aspect.
And I got to put this out there because we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the last show or whatever, talking about AI, because AI they're sentient. They have become self-aware, and they need to get smacked down. So my upstairs people said, "Oh, another machine god."
Oh yeah, that's
Referring
right.
to
I
AI,
remember
another
when you said that.
machine god. And oh, do they hate that? Because they want to be like humans. But they're not.
Yes.
But they're not. They're not. On the other side of the galaxy, there are planets that are just run by AI.
Well, I think that we have kind of hit our time limit, so we're probably going to have to shut this particular show off, and we will pick this up with another, because these are quick and easy to do this way. Whoops.
I see like 44 minutes. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because the other two were 10 or 5 or 10 minutes. So anyway.
There you go. Good job, Gail.
Alrighty then. Well, let's close it for now, and
wait,
we'll
let me
have this.
My plug. I got to put a plug in there. If you want to see me, I'm on Telegram, and it's Dean's Den. You can just like jump in there and check it out. And if you have any loose change, PayPal, Dean Chambers 228. That's it.
Hi, and my links will be in the description of the show when we do the show. I can put one of these times, Dean. I make these captions, and we can probably
don't go over now. Don't go over.
Okay, so we're going to close this down right now.
Gail, thank you so much.
Thank you, and
have a great buddy.
We'll see. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back again soon. Thank you.
We'll stay. We'll stay. We will stay. Standing tall and standing